It's Easterseals TV with Molly and Hayden. I sat down with Easterseals pediatric occupational therapist Katie Pena to talk about early intervention and why it's so important for development.
Often in early intervention, we get kids once they're about a year old. Some preemie kiddos or kids that have some other injuries, we may see younger than that. But typically, we start getting referrals because of kids not using their hands the way that they would expect to be using them. So by one, if a kid's not holding their bottle and feeding themselves, they're not using their hands with toys, that's where either coordinators, parents, other therapists start saying, oh, I think we need to get an OT in here to kind of look at this. So we work with kids being able to do things with both hands together at the middle, using both hands separately, and then, building those skills you need to be able to write, eat, do everything that we do with our hands and take for granted.
Early intervention referrals have been down over the last year. Katie encourages parents to reach out for support.
I find that is, think of all the jobs we have, and they come with manuals. They come with, a lot of tips and tricks, and parenting doesn't always. So there are a lot of things parents will be embarrassed to even ask, like, is this not normal? They're doing this? Should they be doing this? And we always tell people, always ask. It's good to know. There's things that may look a little bit odd that is very typical for development. Kids do some crazy things. But what happens is typically those either go away or they don't get in the way of day-to-day function. So really the concern is if you're seeing something that you're not seeing other kids do or your other children didn't do, if it persists or gets to be where they're not able to participate in things because of that, that's when I have more of a concern.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, therapists at Easterseals transitioned swiftly to a telehealth model, which had some silver linings.
What we have found, we've always, especially in earlier intervention, used a parent coaching model. So the idea that it is the family that follows through on the home program ideas you give, the day-to-day work with their child. So if someone just comes to a therapist and sees them once a week and we play with your kid or we position them and then send them home, we don't see fast progress. But if the parent is carrying over those ideas we give them, often we see much faster improvements. And so with telehealth, what we found is really the parents have become our hands. There was a learning curve for everyone. There are a few times when I wanted to kind of reach through the screen and no, like move your hand right here. With occupational therapy, we address activities of daily living a lot. And it's been just great. The times that there are struggles, the morning routine, they've been able to switch their session to the morning during that routine where, at therapy, the kid comes in and we can work on toothbrushing, but it's not in their bathroom, in their own setting. So I definitely think that's been a really good benefit of telehealth.
For some children and families, telehealth is not a perfect fit. But Easterseals is excited to be working with the Greater Peoria Family YMCA to provide a safe in-person therapy option.
We've taken a very kid-friendly space that was a tot watch area already, and I've been able to turn that into some treatment spaces with equipment we need, developmental toys. But we also have access to other areas in the Y. And so we are able to bring families and work with kids in person. Not every kid needs an in-person appointment. There are definitely some great benefits to being able to be hands-on. Other kids, we may see them part of the time in the Peoria Y and part of the time telehealth. Right now, as things are still crazy in the world, for the safety of our staff and for the other kids that we see, having an environment that is clean, follows all of our infection control policies, we know that we are being as safe as we can.
For parents looking for information online, Katie shared her favorite websites to go to for resources.
Especially for early development, I always recommend a family looking at child and family connections. That will give, there's a lot of from birth to 3 years old developmental handouts of kind of what to expect, what kids should be doing. Some are kind of checklists where they can kind of mark off what their kid's doing or even as their kid gains those skills. Another resource I often use is Growing Hands-On Kids. This website has kind of pulled resources from different places all together. And so there's sections on developmental milestones, fine motor development, as well as sensory processing or concerns with any tolerating different touch textures or things in the environment.